Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and it's Europa League week, and this is a pre-recorded show. At some stage today United are travelling. It's been recorded on a Wednesday, so United will be travelling to Turin today. The game is in Turin. There's due to COVID restrictions and travel restrictions in Spain. Real Sociedad are not allowed to play at their home stadium in the San Sebastián. I've said once or twice on other shows, it's a beautiful part of the world. When the draw came out, I was praying that there would be crowds at the game. I was desperate to have a trip to San Sebastián, but not only are the fans not allowed to travel there, but not even the team is. I would never have imagined that when the draw came out. So the game's being played in Turin. So Real Sociedad are having to give up their home advantage for the home leg of the game, if it's an advantage. I know there's some stat out there saying for the first time ever in the history of English football that there are more teams winning away from home than there are winning at home, and it's never happened before during it's not, obviously the season's not finished yet, but that's never been the case ever in not just Premier League but in the history of football. There's always what they call a home advantage. In other words, teams tend to win more games at home than they do away from home. That's not the case this season. So, you know, have Real Sociedad actually lost any advantage at all by playing an away leg? I'm sure playing an away leg on a home leg on a neutral ground, and that seems to be an advantage for us. But you never know; it might not work out that way. So they'll be travelling at some stage today. This is a pre-recorded show. I don't know what the actual travelling squad is, but Ole has already said that there's no further injuries. It's already been stated. He has stated that he's going to make some changes. Obviously, we can only guess at what those changes will be. One or two people are probably going to get a run out who have not been getting games recently. It's been a fairly steady team just recently. I don't think he will make that many changes to the starting lineup. Certainly, I don't expect players to play who don't get plenty of games. For example, the youngster, apparently there's been a youngster, Shola Shoretire, has been added to the squad to travel to Turin. I don't see him getting a game. Maybe, you know, if it's going well, he might possibly be on the bench, and he might just come on off the bench if it's going well. I can't imagine that we will see him getting a game even as a sub if it's a tight game. So I'll have a stab at what the starting lineup will be, and I'm going to say that he'll go with I think he'll give Henderson a game in goal. I still think Wan-Bissaka will play. I still think Harry Maguire will play. Bailey was fit at the weekend and in the squad, so I imagine Bailey might get a game. He often changes the Bailey and Lindelof seem to exchange games anyway quite often when they're both fit, and Lindelof's been getting that much stick for his performance at the weekend. I can see Bailey getting a run out in Lindelof's spot, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Telles play at left back. I think Van der Beek will get a game, but I don't see Van der Beek taking Bruno's place. I just don't see Ole leaving Bruno out. I think Van der Beek might play as a midfield player, you know, more or less a holding midfield player. But obviously he's got more attacking instincts than the likes of Fred or Matic. I mean, McTominay is getting a lot of goals. Is it fair to say he's got more attacking? He might play in a different style, but is it fair to say he's got more attacking instinct than Scott McTominay? I think he's got 7 goals. So far this season, Scott McTominay. I doubt very much if Van der Beek had played every game, or the amount of games, not even every game, the amount of games that Scott McTominay's played, would he have 7 goals? Probably not. So, but I do think he's got attacking instincts and he's a different style of player. But I fancy he will get a game, and I also fancy Matic will get a start. So I think he might go with Van der Beek and Matic as the 2 midfield players, and I think he'll go with Bruno at number 10. I don't see much change in the front line. Cavani will probably get a rest, just like lots of the fans do, and I don't agree with it. I'm sure Ole probably thinks he's 34. He's played at the weekend. Probably wants him to play again this coming weekend against Newcastle. The game's on Sunday. So I see Cavani getting a rest, mate. I think Martial will start at number 9 with Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks. I do think look, our form in the league at the moment is not what it should be. Although we've still got a little bit of a cushion, teams are gathering behind us. I don't think it's nailed on that United are going to finish in the top 4, and I think Ole needs to appreciate that. And I think if he wants to be in the Champions League next season, he needs to try and stay in this competition as long as he can. And obviously, you know, as it goes on, if he reaches the quarter final and if he gets through that to the semi-final, bit by bit, you will know if you are sort of looking like getting your Champions League spot in the league. So as it goes on, you might be able to rest further players in it if you don't need to win it for your Obviously, I'd like to win it anyway. I'd love to win any trophy. You know, we're still in the FA Cup. I'd like to win the FA Cup or the Europa League. Both would be absolutely brilliant. But as it goes on the Europa League, it might be the case that it looks like we've got our top 4 spot more or less confirmed, and then he could start weakening the team perhaps if he didn't feel as though he needed to win it. But I've got a sneaky feeling it's going to get tighter around that top 4, and I think as that tournament goes on, it'll become more apparent that it's important to win it. So it's an early kickoff tomorrow night. Don't make that mistake of thinking it's around 8 o'clock. It's actually, I don't know why they kick off at 5 these games and not 6 o'clock, but the game's at 5 to 6. It's live on BT1, 5 to 6 UK time. I've been having a look at the San Sebastián the Real Sociedad team, the 5th in the table. In La Liga, which is a decent position for them. They're all the big clubs are at the top as usual. Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Sevilla are above them. It's Atletico Madrid that seems to be running away with it in La Liga. After 21 games, they've got 54 points at the top, and Real Madrid have played 23 games and have got 49 points. So Atletico are 5 points clear with 2 games in hand. Barcelona are a further 3 points back, and Sevilla 1 point behind them. But then there's a bit of a drop, 7 points to Real Sociedad. So it does look to me as though the top 4 in La Liga is virtually already confirmed. If you look at the 4th team, Sevilla played 22, 45 points. Real Sociedad played 23, 38 points. So even Sevilla, who are in 4th, have got a 7-point lead and a game in hand on Real Sociedad. So they'll be looking at this Europa League similar to us. Well, not similar to us. We're still right in the hunt and favourites for the top 4 spot, whereas a top 4 spot for them is, even though they're 5th in the table, it's already looking as though it's not out of their hands, but it's certainly going to be a tough job getting into that top 4. So I think Real Sociedad will be setting their sights on trying to win this Europa League. Actually earlier in the season they were top of the table for a while. Real Sociedad, they had a really good start, but the form dipped dramatically. They've only won 3 of the last 13 league games, although they are on a slight upturn. That includes winning the last 2. So although they've won the last 2, they've only won 3 of the last 13. But I still wouldn't be taking them too lightly. We might get a glimpse of Adnan Januzaj tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's in his 4th season. He's not an automatic starter, but he's in his 4th season with Real Sociedad. I've checked it out. He's played 10 league games this season, but he has played 5 Europa League games, so that's quite a lot of Europa League games when we've only had the group stages. So I'll be a little bit surprised to see him start, but you're allowed to use 5 subs in the Europa League. I won't be surprised one bit if at some stage, if he doesn't start, that we might see Adnan Januzaj at some stage tomorrow night. Also in the Europa League tomorrow night, the other English clubs or British clubs, Leicester are away to Slavia Prague. That's also on BT at 5 to 6. Spurs are away to Wolfsberger, also at 5 to 6. And then there's 2 8 o'clock games involving British teams. Benfica versus Arsenal. That could be an interesting one. That's at 8 o'clock on BT. And Royal Antwerp versus Glasgow Rangers at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. That's after our game. Don't forget, Our game is 5-6. In the Champions League last night, Liverpool had a good win, 2-0 away to Leipzig. That was another game that wasn't played. I think it was played in Budapest, that game, so Leipzig weren't allowed to play their home leg as a home game either. It was played on a neutral ground. So Liverpool have had a good win there, 2-0. They red up favourites to get through with a home leg to come. And PSG had a great win, 4-1 at the Nou Camp. So 4-1 at the Nou Camp with Mbappe scoring a hat-trick. He was absolutely on fire, Mbappe, last night. Some of his finishing was fantastic. Notice that game was at the Nou Camp, by the way, so there's obviously slightly different rules, I guess. I'm just assuming there's slightly different rules for different areas of Spain. Obviously, United are supposed to be playing in Spain and not allowed to, and yet PSG did play their game at the Nou Camp against Barcelona last night. But it looks pretty much certain that they're going to get through to the next round, PSG. So Pochettino will be well pleased with the start that he's had his first Champions League game with in charge of PSG. They're looking like they're going to get through. There's a couple of Premier League games this evening. I caused a bit of a stir on Twitter at the weekend when I was watching Fulham play Everton. I put a tweet out on Twitter, and I meant it, by the way, that how did I put it? I put that as much as if United were to play Fulham tomorrow, I said, if United, this while I was watching Fulham play Everton, and they won 2-0 there, by the way, which is a good win. Don't forget, Fulham are in the bottom three. And I actually said on Twitter, as much as I fancy we would beat Fulham if we were to play them tomorrow, sitting here watching them play, they look a better team than we do. I find it out. That's what I put. I don't understand football. How can I sit here watching this team and think that we'd beat them, and yet sitting here watching them, I'd bet me bottom dollar that they're a better team than us. They seem to have a better way of playing. They seem to get the passes in. There seems to be more rhythm to the play. It's a word that I've heard Jurgen Klopp use many times about the rhythm of the play, and Fulham seems to have more rhythm to the play. They moved. Look, I've not seen the passing stats. You might find that United had more passes, more percentage of the ball when we played at Goodison, or when we played Everton at Old Trafford, indeed, through the week. But I watched Fulham play Everton the other night, and I really did think that they looked a proper decent team with proper rhythm to the play, and they really moved the ball around well. They're playing away to Burnley tonight. They're making a bit of a fist of it. I think they're 8 points adrift at the bottom, or 7 points adrift, I think it might be. But I think they might make a fist of it. I think the teams above them have got to be looking over the shoulder. They're playing. Fulham are playing Burnley at 6 o'clock this evening. That's live on Sky. So I'm going to watch that. Let's see if they can play similarly again. Obviously, that's a massive game for both clubs. Burnley won't want Fulham creeping up on them. They're one of the teams that are only just, when I say only just, there is a bit of a gap, but position-wise, they're only a place or two, perhaps 2 places outside the relegation zone. So they won't want to lose to Fulham at home. It could be a bit of a thriller if you're interested in watching that one. And then at 8:15, that one's live on Sky, by the way. Fulham and Burnley at 6 o'clock, and Everton versus City this evening at 8:15. I will be fascinated by that. It's not often there's 2 league games on, not involving United, where I'm really keen to watch both games. I've already mentioned it to the wife, by the way, but there's 2 games on tonight, and I'm really keen to watch them both. I'm really interested to see how Fulham perform at Burnley, see if they can play like they did the other day. But then Everton v City, Ancelotti doing a fantastic job at Goodison. Obviously, the way City are playing, you've got to fancy City to beat them. But I'll be really intrigued to see how Ancelotti sets his team up. I've got a feeling they'll play with a back 4 and then a midfield 5 strung across the field. And if Calvert-Lewin's fit, just Calvert-Lewin as the lone striker. And if not, probably Richarlison as the lone striker. But I'll be fascinated to see, A, how they set up, and then B, if they can make a fist of it. As a United fan, what would I like to happen in that game? I don't see us catching City. And Everton are, where are they? Everton have played 22 and they've got 37 points. This is one of their games in hand on us. They've got 2 games in hand on us. and we're on 46, they're on 37. So at the minute we're 9 points in front of Everton. If Everton to win this game, they'd be 6 points behind us with a game in hand on us. Look, I don't think Everton are going to catch us, but 6 points behind us. Let's assume it was a different club. Chelsea are in a similar situation. If Chelsea were in that situation, I'd be really worried about it, which Chelsea are in that situation now, or very similar. I think they're a little bit higher than Everton even. But if that was a different club, Everton have not had the success that Chelsea have had over the last, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. But you'd be looking over your shoulder and saying, oh, if they win that game in hand, they're going to win the 2 games in hand, because that includes them winning tonight, obviously. They'd be, if they can win the 2 games in hand, they'd only be 3 points behind us, and you would be concerned about that. So if you forget who the club are, you've got to look at the figures and sort of say, look, if they can win their 2 games in hand, 3 points behind us, they're right on our coattails. So personally, I don't think the title's on for us. Obviously, I'd love City to fall away. I would like that game to be a draw tonight. Save Everton getting too close to us, and at least it means City do drop 2 points. Even if they can draw 2 or 3 games sitting, we might get a glimmer of hope of getting back into it. But to be honest, I think we're going to drop more points than City are between now and the end of the season. So as a Red, I'd like to see that game as a draw tonight. But I'm going to be glued to both of those games. Burnley v Fulham. And Everton versus City. They could both be really interesting games. And then tomorrow night, as I've said, 5 to 6 kickoff, don't forget. United, supposedly away, is on a neutral ground in Turin. United are playing Real Sociedad in the last 32 of the Europa League. I look forward to that one. I want us to get through. With a home leg to come, a draw would be okay tomorrow. I think it would. Obviously, if it's a score draw, it'd suit us down to the ground if it was a score draw. So let's see how the lads do. I look forward to it. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.